Hello, friends. Cole here with another midweek message from Selkirk United Church. It is Wednesday, August 11th today. I overheard someone say something the other day, and I've been thinking about it a lot ever since. They said, "I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad." I'm not actually sure what they meant by that. That sentence could actually mean a couple of quite different things. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad. Could mean that the person is doing two very different things at the same time. One, trying not to be sad in the present moment, and two, thinking about a future that will be better, happier. I like that possibility. Trying to think about the future and not be sad in the moment. That's better than the alternative, I think, because the person is at least trying to be proactive, at least considering a future that is better, and hopefully even strategizing ways to be part of that future and to help make it so. The other possible meaning of that sentence, "I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad," is that the person is actually in the moment imagining a sad future, imagining that things are not going to get better, and trying not to be affected too much by that idea. I hope it wasn't that, but it might have been. Either way, the future is going to come. Whether it's sad or whether it's bright will likely depend to a very large extent on us and what we decide to do about it, how we decide to live, what choices we make as a society, as well as individually for ourselves and for our children. Speaking of children, many years ago now, when I was just starting out in ministry, a young woman from one of my congregations came up to me after the service one Sunday and told me this story about why she thought she'd better start bringing her children to Sunday school. One day, she said, they were at a friend's house, and on the wall was a velvet wall hanging depicting a child praying. The child had his hands out like this and had his eyes half open, sort of peeking at his hands. The woman's little boy noticed the picture and said to his mother, "That's me." His mother said, "Yes, it does look kind of like you, doesn't it? And what are you doing in that picture?" she asked. He looked at the picture again, thought about it for a moment, and said, "Chewing my nails?" And that's when the woman decided it was time to start going to Sunday school. God works in mysterious ways. At least she had a plan for the future, right? At least she cared enough to try to do something about it. At least she hadn't given up altogether. I think a lot of people are getting to that point these days, that point of giving up in so many areas of their lives. I've heard people saying things like, "That's it. I quit. I've had enough. I'm done. I'm over this. I'm tired of it." And they're not always talking about COVID-19 and all that that's done to our lives and our way of life. Some of them have been talking about work. Some of them have been talking about family. Some of them have been talking about watching the news, politics, so many different things that we might be done with, sick of, tired of hearing about. I hope you haven't given up on anything. I certainly understand if you're tired of listening to the news, tired of hearing about fires or drought or climate change or COVID-19, restrictions, vaccines, masks, all the rest of it. Tired of politics, racism, hate, hospital overcrowding, care home tragedies, deaths. So many things to be tired of. I understand. I'm tired of some of those things too. How could we not be? But I hope it's not to the point of giving up. I hope it's not to the point of just not caring anymore. I hope it's not to the point of apathy, because we just can't afford to do that. If we do that, then the future will definitely be worse than the present, and I don't think any of us want that. Of course, we're allowed to be tired of some of these terrible things that have been happening in our world and in our own lives. I just don't think we can afford to be too tired to care about any of it anymore. Too tired to care. Too tired to care for others. Too tired to care for the earth. Tired of trying to love your neighbor. So what's the answer? Oh, you expect me to have an answer? I was kind of hoping that one of you would come up with something helpful. Okay. Well, if you have any thoughts, please pass them along. I'd love to hear them. Actually, I know that some of you have some wonderful thoughts about some of this because you've been sharing your thoughts with me here and there along the way as we've journeyed through these past 16 months. And all of those answers, those thoughts, those ideas always sound the same to me. They've always got something to do with supporting each other, no matter what, finding ways to support one another through all the different things that are happening to us and to our world. Sometimes emotional support, sometimes spiritual support, sometimes something more tangible, but never giving up completely. And I thank all of you who have passed along your words of wisdom and your words of encouragement. They've meant a lot, and I've appreciated all of them. And I haven't given up yet. I won't. Probably because of those words of encouragement. I hope everyone is getting some of that encouragement and support. We all need it, some more than others, but all of us need it at some point. So let's make sure we keep spreading it around and offering it. Even if we do shout out, "I'm done," once in a while, or "I've had enough," that's okay for a little while. Then after we're done shouting or crying or lamenting in whatever way we do that, let's get back to strategizing together about how to fix what's wrong, one thing at a time. And let's make sure we're not forgetting anyone in the process, because some of us are very well connected with large support groups, people who just won't let us give in and give up. Some people are not as connected. So let's keep watching, especially for those people who may need us most. Even when we are tired of it all, even when we've almost given up on the future, God calls us to persevere. In the Old Testament, God spoke through the prophet Jeremiah about the future. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The future is going to come one way or the other. And it will always be up to us to try to help turn that future towards the good in whatever ways we can. God still has plans for us, hopeful plans, plans for blessings yet to come, even when we feel like giving up. Let's keep encouraging each other, offering our care, our love, our listening ears, our support, our compassion, all those good gifts that come from God to help one another through these difficult times. And God will be with us too. I want to close with a prayer that comes from Moira Ann McDermott. She shared this prayer. Loving God, in our part of your world, worries abound with COVID variants, unusual weather, raging forest fires, and short tempers evident too often. We are worn out with the stresses of coping, and yet we also forget to realize our privileges and benefits, regarding them as entitlements rather than as gifts. Help us to be aware, God, of blessings you have bestowed, even in the midst of trials. Help us to look outward and see where need exists for material necessities of life, for comfort and companionship, for worship time and work, for recreation and rest. Help us to find ways to reach out to others known and unknown, to offer our gifts and givings, our time and talents and goods, to support and walk in solidarity with our sisters and brothers in your world. Help us, God, to turn to you in prayer for insights and do your work for good. We ask this knowing that we are not alone. Amen. And that's our message for this week. My friends, God be with you through whatever you're facing. And remember, less chewing your nails and more praying. Sometimes those might seem to be the same thing, but just remember that God is much more involved in the latter. Take care and God bless. I will see you next time.